laps at 6-litre bi-turbo V12 as well. Then on this side we have the Bugatti Chiron, another, well, the most dailyable probably hypercar of the moment. One of 500 cars with 1500 horsepower, again in a super stealthy spec, gloss black all over instead of being dual tone as you would often get with the Bugatti Chiron. A black interior, but like the Pagani with red calipers as well. Those two cars matching with one another and looking unreal. Now beyond that, we get towards two McLarens. The McLaren Senna that recently arrived in the collection, and I saw this pop up on the Don Huayra Instagram page, and of course in the Brazilian colours. After all, the car is named after Ayrton Senna, so with the green and the yellow. And this colour of green is particularly nice. I didn't realise quite how much metallic sparkle it has with this MSO design livery. And as well, down here you can see the active aero flaps finished in the yellow too, with some yellow accents on the interior. Then next to that, the satin blue 720S sitting side by side. But then you've got the likes of an Oldsmobile. You've got a 70s car that was built for a film. You've got those restored 300SL Roadsters. You've got a Dino just here. This collection is so varied in the types of cars that you can see. It's unbelievable. To walk down the line of some of the Ferraris here, this is a 275 GTB that's been converted into a Nart Spider, dark blue, stunning. Next to that, there is a Dino. That's quite an unusual colour spec, and I should also point out that the cars are all preserved, maintained, and there's a crew looking after them, so they all start on the key. Then there's a 308. Next to that, the 812. I'm a big fan of the Ferrari 812 Superfast, as I'm sure you guys know. I think it's one of the best cars currently available on the market. 800 horsepower, 6.5-litre V12. Sounds unreal as well. Then we've got a 355 with the black wheels. Cayman GT4. I used to have a Cayman GT4 myself, in Guards Red, this one. Then there are lots of cars, I will confess, I don't know too much about. I've had a quick guided tour around. Obviously a Jaguar E-Type just there. Then we've got Austin Healey, MGA at the end, some MGF maybe, Rolls-Royce, some extended S-classes. Coming up this way, XK140. Then a very, very chrome Mercedes McLaren SLR. Always been a big fan of the car. I think it looks super cool. Just the gearbox, the 5-speed auto gearbox, not really necessarily up to it. But then next to that, the gull-wing door Mercedes SLS AMG, the first AMG project, fully done by them, finished in satin grey, looking very menacing as well. Coming to this side, as I mentioned, two restored 300 SLs, SL Roadsters, also a 300 SL gull-wing currently being restored. Quality, just, I mean, it looks like it was, well, it's probably better than new. It looks like it's only just been built, it's so good. Continuing on, a couple of other Mercedes models. That's a 500k, a bit of a cheat sheet reading the number plate. There are lots of things, I do confess, that I don't necessarily know what I'm looking at. This was a fairly unusual creation, a bit of a hot rod kind of thing for a film back in the 70s, and that's an Oldsmobile from, I think, right at the beginning of the 20th century, early 1900s. Then if we continue through, let's take a quick look at the Lamborghinis just here. Two Diablos. This car's done just 2,000 miles from new, still has some of the protectors on it, basically perfect. Another Diablo next to that, the original Diablos. Then we get to the Miura, one of my favourite cars. This is the Lamborghini for me, and in yellow. Looks really very nice. It's one of the original ones with the kind of eyelashes that you have around the headlights as well, which the SV didn't have. Then there's a Ghibli SS from Maserati. De Tomaso Pantera, that is of course a very rare car. The Cobra, looking very nice in the red with the white stripes. And then we get to some of the American muscled, massive American cars from back in the day. And these are where I lose a little bit of my knowledge, I will confess, as to exactly what we're looking at. There's a Fisker Karma down at the end. Fisker did big things actually launching that, one of the first kind of electric cars really that went into more mainstream production. We come around towards the other side, there's a BMW i8 as well. That's the eclectic side of this collection, right? The cars that you see next to each other. And down here at the very end, just to come through and show you these, that is a custom-built racer. That's a Fiat, I'm not entirely sure. Fiat 500, BMW Isetta, a Mini, and a custom Japanese car based on a 500. My old Mini was green as well, so I've got a soft spot for that. It looks really, really nice. In fact, all of these do. It's almost the cute little car corner, but I particularly like those three that you have just there. Then we continue through some other cars. We've got the 64 Mustang, first generation of Mustang, and a few more that I will confess I'm not entirely sure of everything that I'm looking at. That's a Pontiac Trans Am, Pontiac GTO, and then you've just got that era where the cars being built in America just went crazy, and in fact they varied hugely from one year to another. So these, I was being told, are all kind of 1 year apart almost in their production, but they changed the design so much back then as a way of getting people to, you know, move into the newer car, to facelift them, in fact, kind of every year. From one model to the next, but you just don't, our Bel Airs of course, you just don't see this kind of design on anything more modern. They are ginormous, and yeah, look at the way they're all kind of open cruisers. There's a big kind of interest in these kind of things out here, and so you can see how the collection has grown in that way. On this side, first generation Corvette, a few of the other different generations as we just walk past them. I'm sure some of you guys know a little bit more about everything that I'm showing you here, but there is one other car that I'm really excited to show you in a moment as well. I just explore and see all of these. Challenger RT and Maserati Gran Turismo. So this is a big variety of cars. What an amazing place to be able to explore and show you on a quick tour around. But I'm looking at the other one that I'd like to show you just now. Quickly though, there is also a 2005 Ford GT, but next to that is a car I am very excited to share with you again on the channel. Having brought it down to the garage today, this is Don Koenigsegg's Koenigsegg CCXR Special One. He's very kindly brought it to Don Huayra's collection for me to be able to see the car again, a car that if you've been following the channel for a while, you will know is incredibly significant to me for many reasons. If you go way back to almost the beginning of my YouTube channel, 2010, when I was uploading car spotting videos, I used to film this car driving around in London. I also saw it over in Paris, and in fact, I remember cycling down Sloane Street in Knightsbridge, chasing this to film a video with it, long before I knew what YouTube was going to become. The car then went back. It was originally Qatari owned. It went back out to the Middle East. I saw it many times at Alain Class in Dubai, where it was on for sale, and in fact, at one point, I think about 2 years ago or so I told you this, I even contemplated and actually came quite close to purchasing the car myself, but unfortunately things didn't quite come together. But now I've seen it in Europe, I've seen it over in the Middle East, and now we're here seeing this car in Mexico. So a big thanks to Don Koenigsegg for bringing it along, but this is a really special car. It is a one of one in the turquoise blue, the full exterior and interior. The CCXR was kind of the final version of the CC models before the Agera then came, and of course there have been many different variants from Koenigsegg since. But you have to remember, this car, well, it's about 10 years old or so now, but being one of the final cars meant that it had all the carbon aero parts, the finishing, the louvres, these wheels, the larger wing at the rear. But this, I know it's a crazy spec, but it really, for me, is such a significant car due to the memories of it, the experiences of filming it, and how back then I had no idea where all of this was going to go. And now seeing it here in Mexico, and let's just have a quick look at the interior. The button is under here at the bottom of the door. It pops open. And they made this design almost, well, I think around 20 years ago or so now, carbon tub, but the doors that open like that. And then just look at this interior. It is completely one of a kind. It might be ridiculously strong, but it's so cool for what it is and how the blue contrasts with the carbon fiber. I absolutely love this thing. And despite it saying, please do not sit, Don Koenigsegg has allowed me to take a quick little seat inside the car as a quick reminder of what it's like. I have visited it, as I said, at Alain Class out in Dubai, but this is super cool. To start it up, you actually do this to turn on the ignition and then those two buttons to start it. But here we are, inside the Special One. Wow. This is a really, really special car and a very significant one, like I said, many times for me. Amazing to see it out here in Mexico. So let me just close the door back down. My goodness. But you know what? I am running on an insane schedule out here, a very, very brisk trip, but what an amazing opportunity to come and take a look at these unbelievable cars. Of course, I think for many of you, this is the pretty special part of the lineup, the Bugatti, the Pagani and the Senna, but the entire collection is so diverse and so varied. That's what makes it really special for me when you take a look around. Just feast your eyes on many different types of cars from many different eras, some classics, some modern cars, supercars, muscle cars, everything all together. So a huge thanks to Don Huayra and to Don Koenigsegg for the opportunity to come and visit today and take a look at all of this. Absolutely mind-blowing, and I guess probably one of the very best car collections in Mexico, if not the entire world. So thank you very much for watching, guys. You'll find their Instagram links in the description down below, but that is it for this time. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!